Wilder Show podcast. I'm Scott, and Lauren will be here momentarily. Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time, or before on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, every now and then on the TikTok. On Instagram as Wilder Show Pod. So find us there, like, thumbs up, all those things. Email is podcast@wildershow.com, or you can just engage wherever you listen, at that platform. Thumbs up and a comment or a question. Wherever you get your podcast, would you like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share? And we appreciate that. A lot to catch up on. What a weekend. I mean, since last we spoke, look at all that happened. Had the crazy, wild, wonderful Celebrate 250 for July 4th. Music and fireworks like crazy. Rain, lightning delayed it a little bit, but the president spoke, and I thought he had a good speech, largely from the teleprompter. I guess that's redundant, but he did, and it was good. And then the really wild and crazy fireworks display. Guinness Book of World Records, record-breaking kabooms. They turned it up to 11, and they just left it there until they broke the record. Not to be critical, but one of the things I like about watching fireworks is the cascading, after the explosion, the colors, those things, right? The boom and then the sort of thing. Well, when there are, 1 million explosions all at the same time, it's just brightness in the sky, absent color, absent cascading. I'm glad it was a record. It turns out it really was. It really was the fireworks display, the likes of which the world had actually never seen before. So with that as the only asterisk, though, I do like a little cascading. A little pause between is nice, but I thought it was a good day of celebration. For those of us old enough to remember the celebrations on July 4th, 1776. July 4th, 1976. For the bicentennial, I thought this was very similar. For all the talk about politics and all that, I thought it was pretty much absent that for the most part. I mean, if you looked for it, you could find it. But I think absent that is good. We should all be able to celebrate our country in spite of our disagreements, and that recent Gallup poll about pride in our country notwithstanding. I hope everybody still had a good July 4th. I had several people ask me if they heard my name on Fox News during the coverage of the big event, and especially at the end after the fireworks as they were giving their final thoughts. And the answer is, I'll just let you hear it.
We got to give a shout out to Scott Wilder, who had no pressure on him tonight at all.
That was an easy assignment. Let's see what he does next.
That was pretty easy. I mean,
what's next?
I think he should work for free tonight.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Okay, here is the fuller cut as they wrapped up the whole thing.
We are grateful. We all stayed up together as a country.
And for the amazing crew and producers of all
our
of
team is
this.
awesome.
Thank
Give
you
yourselves
so
a
much.
round.
We got to give a shout out to Scott Wilder, who had no pressure on him tonight at all.
That was an easy assignment. Let's see what he
That
does
was
next.
pretty easy. I mean,
What's next?
I think he should work for free tonight.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Thank
Scott,
you for joining
think you
us.
should be paid,
Thank you
just
for
the
joining
record.
us tonight. It's our honor. Happy Independence Day
Amen.
and 250 America.
Happy July
Amen.
4th.
So the answer is yes, obviously. You heard that right.
We got to give a shout out to Scott Wilder, who had no pressure on him tonight at all.
That was an easy assignment.
I think he should work for free tonight.
However, it was my name, but it was not about me. And I've known about that Scott Wilder for more than 2 decades. You got time for a little story real quick? A little story time. Get ready with me. I mean, I'm already ready, but story time about one of the other Scott Wilders, the Fox News Scott Wilder, and how I discovered him. It was 2004 in New York at Madison Square Garden. I was standing on the Republican National Convention floor there at MSG during sound checks, and I saw someone who I watched on TV every day, and it was Jane Skinner, who did the news segments on Fox News. She was on at other times too, but I always saw her when she was on with Shepard Smith during his show, when he was on Fox News, and when she was still on Fox News. She was a news person, and I thought she was really good, really smart, serious, just good. Now, I normally wouldn't have gone up to her and just introduced myself, but I thought I had a reason. She had recently had twins, and we had twins. So I just walked up to Jane Skinner and said, "Hey, I enjoy your time doing the news at Fox, and I wanted to say congratulations on your twins. I have twins, so I do also want to say good luck." And she thanked me, and we chatted for about a second, and I was basically about to bow out. And she asked my name, and I tell her, and she says, "Scott Wilder, my favorite cameraman, is named Scott Wilder." So that is the Scott Wilder they were referring to, and since 2004, he has gone on to climb the ranks, I think, at Fox News. I think he's currently like the executive VP of something huge. Anyway, yes, they said my name, and no, it was not about me. One other note about that. I saw Jane Skinner on the floor of Madison Square Garden in 2004. She was back there at Madison Square Garden over this last weekend because she was a guest at Taylor Swift's wedding with her husband, Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. World Cup. A red card is a powerful thing. You know, it pulls a player from the match he's playing in, leaves his team with only 10 men, not 11, for the rest of the match, and it forbids him from playing in the next match. So when that happened to our best striker, it was a huge deal. I mean, taking on Belgium last night, we were looking at limping into it, but then it turns out there is something more powerful than the red card. It's the trump card. I'm sort of kidding. That red card was a horrible call. Absolutely wrong. And it was appealed, and the appeal was immediately rejected. And this was the red card issued to Folarin Balogun, our big striker, right? One of our great scorers. Anyway, Belgium appeals our appeal, and their appeal of our appeal of the decision to keep him out of the game, their appeal is rejected. And that's really not the end of the whole thing. You know, what happened was remember, it was FIFA president Gianni Infantino, who the president says they are friends. And Gianni recently, after the president did not get the Nobel Peace Prize, gave some of the International Soccer Club's International Peace Prize, first ever. It was made up to give it to Donald Trump. So that's how close they are. Anyway, so he calls him, and depending on what you believe, it was either a request for an explanation for the red card, or it was, a little pressure. So the red card was wrong. It should not have stood. Whether the president was calling Infantino to inquire, or calling to inspire, or calling to pressure for Balogun to be allowed to play, the red card should never have been the call, and I'm glad it got changed. But the way it happened, is going to leave an asterisk. And it certainly gave Belgium bulletin board material, even greater motivation to win. And they did, and will now move on to the quarterfinals. Just because the Supreme Court session ended last week with those landmark decisions doesn't mean that the court is out of the news. The president made a little joke yesterday, a little news about the court, and it's actually something I really, really hope he was joking about. The president was in the Oval Office, and he joked, Ted Cruz was there, and he joked about proposing to nominate Ted Cruz to the Supreme Court. And he told the people that were gathered that the pick would win unanimous Senate confirmation. And here's what the president said. He said, he's done a wonderful job as a senator, highly respected. In fact, somebody asked, would you ever appoint him to the Supreme Court? Well, he's the only one I can think of who will get 100 votes. All the Republicans would vote for him. All the Democrats would vote for him because they want to get him the hell out of the Senate. Now, not going through the whole thing, but obviously he would not get all of the votes, maybe not even all the Republican votes. And we don't want another opening for a Senate seat in Texas in this season of change and craziness. So hopefully it's a joke, though we might have an opening with Alito. Still wondering if that retirement announcement might be made. And speaking of court watching, this week is another type of court watching. It's the preliminary or evidentiary hearing in the Charlie Kirk assassination trial, Utah versus Tyler Robinson. Going to be going on all week. This is not about deciding if he did it. This is not the trial. The point is only to present enough evidence to the judge so that the judge might decide if Robinson should be held over for trial. That's expected to last all week. Tyler Robinson has not entered a plea in the case. Yes, I watched yesterday. Yes, all of it. And just a couple of observations. When they begin something like this, actually every day they begin like this, but especially on the first day, here's what they do. The judge acknowledges the counsel for the state, the prosecutor, and also acknowledges counsel for the defendant, in this case, Tyler Robinson. But then he said this: we also want to note the presence of Erica Kirk, the widow of the victim, in the courtroom. Hello, Ms. Kirk. Now, this might seem like it's nothing, but it's not nothing. It's very, very unusual for a court to do that. And I promise you, that is something defense made a note of on the first moments of the first time in court, because it could give rise to some appeal in the event of a conviction. Of course, in the event of a trial. Sorry, couldn't resist. But that is very odd. There are victims advocates. They are there to support the families of victims and counsel them and help them. But the judge is not Erica Kirk's victim advocate. And that will come up again. And guess who else was in the courtroom on day one of the preliminary hearing? Donald Trump Jr. How weird. This is going to be a very weird week, but whether this will be held over for trial is a foregone conclusion. Of course it will be. Maybe because he did it, or maybe because there's enough evidence to simply make it possible that there needs to be a trial. That will not be probably until next year. I mean, this is probably the only time in court about this case this year. Maybe in 6 months, maybe longer. So wall-to-wall coverage expected at Court TV all week. Okay, I'll watch for you. Oh, it is time for Scattershoot.
Let's go.
Wilder Show Scattershoot. All right.
This is something we've talked about before. I think we've talked about it just between the two of us, and I think we've talked about it also in larger groups of people our age,
Okay.
who would have similar experiences, just based on the age, and similar likes. And when we have hung out with people in larger groups, it's usually radio people, right? It's
That's
people
true.
that we've traveled
Known a long
with
time.
for for work things, and who have sort of the same background that we have, maybe backgrounds in music, radio, even if it's not even if their experience is not that they played music on the radio, they usually have a similar experience with enjoying music or considering themselves not an expert, but a buff, a music
not
buff,
a musicologist,
maybe.
but yeah,
not a musicologist,
That's right.
Bud Bouchard, but a music buff. Yeah. Well, as you may have thought, looking at the listener, and as you, Scott, have already told me you believe, song lyrics have changed over the last more than several decades.
Yeah, they've changed.
They have changed a lot. And song lyrics, we've seen them as this, and we know that it's true that they're sort of a cultural mirror. They reflect the values and the attitudes of the era in which they were produced. And something that researchers have noted, I'm not going to say noticed because it's a really deep study. It's way more than just noticing. They went to great lengths to figure this out. Is that shifting moral priorities are a thing that you see for sure. If you look at the last 6 decades of lyrics. Of
In other words, say
popular
that is they're
music.
getting raunchier
They are
and
definitely
more immoral.
Definitely,
Right?
definitely. So researchers started with a database of roughly 2 million songs. They focused on English language lyrics and the lyrics that were published between 1960 and 2010. Okay. So they filtered for artists with more than 10 published songs, and then that pool became 377,812 songs. They pulled another collection from Billboard year-end Hot 100 charts. That's the annual list of the most commercially successful songs from 1960 through 2023. So a little bit longer period of time. From that, they had a final set of 5,580 songs, about 87 per year. And then they analyzed both of these data sets separately. They used AI to do this.
Sure.
Okay. It was a tool that was built on the same kind of technology as a chatbot. It was trained specifically to spot moral themes in text. They looked at 10 moral dimensions. This is split. They split the values into 5 pairs. Okay. So each with a virtue side and then the other with a vice side. So you had care versus harm, fairness versus cheating, loyalty versus betrayal, authority versus subversion, and purity versus degradation. And since I just said cheating, can I just tell you a really funny story once?
Yeah, sure.
And when my daughter was in 4th grade,
Yeah.
we did a little homeschool co-op group. My daughter and 2 of her friends, and they were both also 10-year-old girls. And all 3 of the moms split the responsibilities for the lessons, and they split time with us equally. So I would have these 3 little girls for 2 weeks worth of school days, and the other mom would have them for 2 weeks worth of school days, and so on and so forth. And so my daughter is the youngest of 3, 2 older brothers. One of the other little girls was the youngest of 2, also an older brother. And then the 3rd little girl was the oldest of 2, both girls. So this was their first parenting experience. Everything was brand new. The songs that she was hearing on the radio, everything was new. This was their first child. And the mom whose daughter was her second child had them. They would drive around places. We'd go places, and they would listen to music in the car, and they would sort of have little sing-alongs. And when the little girl who was the oldest in her family went home one day singing along with Carrie Underwood, Before He Cheats.
Nice.
Thanks, dug
Mom.
my key into the side of his pretty little souped up
Yeah,
4-wheel
there you go.
drive, carved my name into his leather sheets. There's something about leather sheets, his leather seats.
Yeah, I love the seats. Right.
And then there's something about a Louisville Slugger and stuff like that too.
Yeah,
Before
it's
He
not good.
Cheats, and
It's not
that
good.
that was our first. That was probably our biggest rift
Little
in our
fallout.
homeschooling year.
Hey, listen, could we please not play that music? It is different when you have the first kid because
It
they never
is.
experienced all that. Although, whether it's the first kid or the 3rd kid or the 10th kid,
Yeah.
a parent should have the right to say, I'd really rather she not listen to that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you talk about how music reflects society or mirrors society. Sometimes it does. But I think sometimes it also can lead.
Okay,
You know,
well,
it can make that's my next
you're a
point.
little bit ahead of me here.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're going
go
there.
ahead.
The other thing I would say is the democratization of music.
Keep in mind, though, the way these songs were chosen.
Yeah.
More
than 10,
10 published
That's true.
songs. They also there was the other collection that was pulled from the Billboard year-end Hot 100 charts. So we had, we talked about the different pairs, the virtue versus vice side. So as you can imagine, when they start looking at things, in those sets and subsets, a pattern emerges. The vice categories, including harm, cheating, subversion, and degradation, all rose over time. I could tell you by what percentage each of them did.
Really?
Virtue categories, on the other hand, largely declined. Something else to note within those numbers, lyrics by female artists more often scored higher on care, loyalty, and betrayal putting a focus sort of on relationships and emotional connection. Lyrics by male and mixed gender artists. That doesn't mean that one artist is mixed gender. It just means that if the song
a duo or whatever,
was, a duo
or
or written by more than one person,
Got
one
it.
of whom was, at least one of whom was a man. They scored higher on harm, subversion, and degradation, especially from the 1980s onward. Harm scores now we don't like to be left behind. Harm scores among female artists rose during the 2010s. So researchers are really careful to say that this study is descriptive, sort of. It's not really a verdict. It doesn't really talk about why or what it means. They can't tell, and this is when I said you were a little ahead of me. They can't really tell whether the darker lyrics are nudging toward broader cultural attitudes or whether those shifting social values are just turning up in the music that people make and celebrate. So it's a little bit like a chicken and an egg thing, sort of.
Did they break it down by genre? I know they did it by gender, like men this and women this, but there are some genres that are particularly degrading and immoral.
Yeah.
And there are some that are not at all toward that way. And I'm not saying it's race, but some of those genres, at the very least, it seems to me you pick a format or a genre and say blank kind of music has gone way off the deep end.
They didn't. It does center almost entirely on Western English language popular music, but they didn't really break it down into any other more
Category.
They didn't really break it down into genres beyond that.
Got
It was, the Billboard data only captures commercially successful songs. So that's certainly a look at what is popular rather than everything that's being made.
Put out. Yeah, got it.
And also another thing they said, because this was AI, because AI scored the lyrics, an AI can miss irony, metaphor, a layered meaning that a human reader or hearer would catch.
They may think, take this job and shove it is an actual attack plan.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's not what that means.
But they do. The researchers say, in spite of all of that, this is a consistent pattern. And when you see it showing up across nearly 400,000 songs spanning more than 6 decades with 2 different data sets, it's tough to write it off as meaningless. When someone is laughing, you can tell whether it's a real laugh or a fake laugh, can't
Totally.
you?
Yes. Yeah, I really can. It was funny. I don't know where. Maybe it's a Conan O'Brien thing we listened to a few days ago or something. But when somebody does that fake laugh, to me, I can always tell.
Yeah.
That, or I think I could tell. I mean, who knows? Who knows whether you really are right on or not?
Can you pinpoint anything that can that you think
that's a good question.
Why does it make it? Well, what's so?
Yeah, what's so obvious that makes it like that's fake?
Why can you tell? What is it? What is it that suggests one kind of laugh is fake? Although maybe fake isn't even really the right word. Sometimes we might sort of laugh in conversation. It's more of a social cue than it is actually responding to something that you found, funny in the moment.
Let me tell you. Let me liken it to something. When you're seeing a parade with mascots on a float in a parade, and they're doing a motion like they're trying to have the kids say something. They put their hand to their big cartoon ear and lean way over toward
so it's an exaggeration thing, maybe,
or they want to nod, and they really have to nod like they have to be seen from across the crevasse.
Yeah,
got to really be able to see that he's nodding. Oh, it looks like he's nodding. He is nodding. That's sort of the auditory version of that. It's like, wow, he seems really happy, or she really thought that was funny. See, like that's an actual laugh.
Yeah. Did you know that? Did you know that those 2 different kinds of laughter come from 2 different places in your brain?
You mean the fake laugh and the real laugh?
Yeah.
Son.
Human laughter runs on 2 distinct but interacting systems.
That makes sense, though. Good. Tell me
One
more.
is ancient. One is ancient and emotional, and the other is deliberate. So not
Performative.
fake necessarily, and social. This was published in Trends in Neurosciences, which is a great reminder for me to renew my subscription to that. And like I said, one circuit is ancient, and it's tied to raw emotion and survival.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
kind of makes sense
It does.
when you hear about it.
Yeah.
The other is borrowed from the brain's speech system, and it's deployed in everyday social interaction, and it's more of a tool than a reflex. A reflex, if you hear something funny, and I was thinking, you
laugh.
were talking about the Conan O'Brien thing, the same. Like there are sometimes you hear it in yourself even. You know that when you chuckle in a way that is maybe a response to something that is pleasant or something that you think is funny, but it didn't really like grab you in the moment. And then sometimes it's almost like out of your control. You hear it, and before you even know what's coming out of your mouth, like that's spontaneous laughter. That's the kind that kind of bursts out of you when something genuinely strikes you as funny. So that it's produced differently. There's minimal shaping in the mouth and tongue. They can see this in brain imaging. Brain imaging shows that kind of laughter involves a lowered tongue and an elongated vocal tract. Voluntary laughter, on the other hand, if somebody, if you're just in conversation and it's just you're friendly and you're, in a happy social situation, that shows tongue and lip movements. That overlap significantly with speech. Now, listeners can reliably tell the two apart. Here's what I'm wondering, though.
Go.
Like when you hear somebody say, oh, she has a great laugh. Oh, I love his laugh. Which one are they talking about?
Yeah.
Are
that's a
they
good
talking about a laugh that is more of a social laugh? And I want to get away from calling it a fake laugh.
social.
Because, a laugh that, or do they mean the laugh that comes out of your mouth and might be a snort sometimes? If that's
I don't know. That's
if
a good.
that's your thing.
That's a good question. I think sometimes people hear something they just like it. They don't care if it's performative or whether it's social or whether it's genuine aha moment laughter. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, there are several reasons that this is interesting. Just from a social viewpoint, I think in questions like that. But also, there are there's a pathological laughing and crying syndrome.
I have heard of that.
Well,
I have heard of that. People can't stop laughing.
Did you see
or
the
can't stop
Joker?
crying.
I didn't see the Joker.
The movie?
But that's
Oh yeah. That was his deal. He would laugh. That was like that.
Yeah. Patients experience involuntary outbursts of laughter or crying that have no relationship to how they actually
That's true.
actually feel. So they did a study about 70 patients who have that syndrome, and they found that the brain lesions responsible were located in areas that are connected to that emotional laughter network that we talked about. So they can see the damage that has been done, and then, maybe they'll be able to do something about it. And the damage in those brain networks can help explain why those emotional outbursts, like the laughter and crying that don't seem to be related to anything, they can then try to figure out how they separated from the person's actual mood or the social context that they're in. So it could be a really good thing. I have a total non sequitur.
Go.
First of all, can you spell sequitur?
Sequitur, yes. SEQUITOR.
TUR. The reason I asked is because when I was making notes about what we were going to talk
You
about,
say
I had a hard
T-O.
time.
You have
No, I
O?
had a hard time spelling it. And I
sequitur.
thought, I bet Scott can spell it
No,
on
I
the first
wish I-
try.
Hate to disappoint.
Sequitur.
Never intend.
SEQUITUR.
I would not have, obviously, I would not have guessed you.
Uh-huh.
Non sequitur.
Uh-huh.
I'd have to, probably there's some Latin that if I knew, I could have made that would be an easy call.
All the best spellers know their Latin.
Boy, that's the truth.
But we've gotten off of
Yeah,
the
okay.
topic of what my non sequitur
That's pretty
was.
funny. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
The non sequitur topic, when we start talking about the first thing we want to talk about that is itself the non sequitur.
That's right. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen just turned 40 years old.
So
That's all.
they were born when
1986.
Okay, hold on a second. 86. They were born when Ferris Bueller was put out.
Yes.
They were born.
They were
when-
babies because we're coming up
Uh-huh.
on the 40th anniversary of Ferris Bueller.
I thought it already happened.
I remember when I saw it, and I think I saw it shortly. I don't know, maybe it's right around now. Do you think it opened already?
I think we've passed it.
I
think it was last week.
Was it really?
I think, look
and
it
you
up.
didn't tell me?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I should have told you. I should have sent you a little thing.
Yeah.
But I think maybe I'm wrong.
I just know that I saw it at the beginning of August.
June 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry about that. I should have.
Okay.
I'm surprised we. No, didn't we not mention that on the podcast?
I don't
That
think
we had
so.
the 40.
Did we?
I don't know, maybe. That might have been. You might not have heard it. It might have been when I was talking. See, that's a genuine laugh.
Oh, that is a genuine laugh. If that is the case, I apologize. Maybe we did. You know what else it reminds me of?
She says, maybe you did. I know. I don't ever know what you're talking about. I'm not even listening when we're doing it. So.
And then you say, "Have you listened to the podcast?" And I say, "I have to listen to it again."
Yeah, believe me, I know when I'm asking you that is simply for you to listen to it for the first time.
No,
you were in the room when it took place, but now I want you to listen to it.
I'm right here. I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you. On when something turns 40, though, I think you can look at the whole year sort of as a celebration, right? It's not just that day, so we can still be celebrating the 40th anniversary of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and that makes me wonder. Also, now we're way
far
off track.
afield.
Yeah, we are far afield. About a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago, we were talking about a movie that is in production or finished or just not released yet with Matthew Broderick and Alan Ruck. Let My Cameron Go.
Right.
The Best Is Yet to Come. They were telling us about that a year ago, and I haven't seen anything about it.
Huh.
I wonder if that means, I hope that doesn't mean that it's really bad and they can't get anybody to buy and distribute it. It couldn't possibly be that, right?
I wouldn't think so. Just a really quick 40 story. I won't use anybody's names, but some dear friends and or family.
Okay.
The guy was turning 40. He had married a girl quite a bit younger than he.
Yeah.
In fact, when he turned 40, she was 27.
Okay.
So there was a big event in the backyard and stand-up tables to, stand around and whatnot, and lanterns and all this, and black balloons,
Right.
so-and-so's turning
Over the
40,
hill
Lordy,
stuff,
Lordy,
yeah.
look who's 40 type thing. And so some girls the same age as me, and I'm the same age as this guy. So we're all right at 40. And the young wife, has come up to the table. And some of the girls there that were standing with me leaned over and said to the young wife, we're going to have to do something just like this for you when you turn 40. Like we're going to get you back for this.
Yeah.
She, without missing a beat, looks at them and says, y'all will turn 50 before I turn 40. And she walked off, and man,
the kids call that a sick burn.
Daggers out of those.
Yeah.
It was anyway. That was my little 40 story.
Man, I think Ferris Bueller still looks pretty good for being 40.
Yeah,
don't you think?
That's true.
Okay, I have one for the Sorry Kids folder.
Sorry, no wait. Let me hold on a second.
Yeah.
Do you mean sorry, kids? Or do you mean sorry kids? Because I've been in one of those two folders.
Commas matter.
Commas
and
matter.
It is the sorry, kids folder. It's a thick folder. Did you give your kids juice boxes? Did your kids grow up on juice boxes?
I think the answer was maybe early on.
Yeah.
But very quickly, I think we all found out that maybe you don't want to do that. You want to do something else or water it down or whatever it was. I remember we maybe we started, but then we learned more.
It's not. And man, a couple of stories about juice boxes. We did drink a lot of juice boxes. This is not necessarily about the delivery system of the juice. You're right. It's the juice, the high sugar content in fruit juice, really, that is the problem. But I do remember having my kids drinking a juice box, and you stick that little straw in there, and sometimes it would, some of the juice would like fly up out of the straw at you. And this particular juice, I won't name it, squirted onto my leg. It left these red stains on my leg. And I remember thinking, we're not drinking that one anymore. If it's doing that to my leg, what is it doing to the insides of my kids? Another thing that I thought was kind of funny, dear old family friend. She was actually my godmother. She did not have kids, and she was on a tour on a bus with a friend who also did not have kids, and they had a box lunch that was served to them. And they had their little sandwich and a cookie and some chips, and the drink was a juice box.
Yeah, sure.
And she said, we were so frustrated trying to figure out how to get this straw, how to make that thing work, because it's just, it's
if you don't know,
it's a skill.
Yeah,
it's a skill you develop as the parent of small children. But I thought that was pretty funny too. Right. But so when your kids are, maybe not so much now, but when my kids were little, we thought that fruit juice was a really good alternative to soda or other things that they might drink, full of vitamins.
Sugar.
So much.
Sugar.
Well, we weren't really thinking about that, but of course, obviously, that is where I'm headed. We thought this would be, a great thing to have in their lunchbox. So much better than soda, right? Nobody wants to give their kid a soda, all that sugar. Well, there's a new study that's followed more than 25,000 young people for as many as 25 years that tells a much different tale than that. Sugary drinks and 100% fruit juice were both linked to a higher risk of developing high blood pressure by adulthood. Now, this is one of the first studies on diet and blood pressure that hasn't been focused on adults. They started tracking kids when they were 12, followed their health for decades, which gave researchers like a really long window into how early eating habits shaped long-term disease risk. So even after they adjusted for things like physical activity and screen time and sleep and smoking and body weight and their overall diet quality, the links between sugary drinks, fruit juice, and high blood pressure held up. Sports drinks were even a part of this too. And the bad thing about that is sports drinks were tied to a 36% higher risk of high blood pressure in adulthood. So this is bad because those beverages are the ones that are kind of marketed as healthy
drinks,
or, health promoting.
They all taste so sweet to me. Like a normal Gatorade. I can't even drink a normal Gatorade or even the half sugar Gatorade. I can't drink that either. They're just way too sweet.
Well, they contain added sugar and also added sodium that can also raise blood pressure through excess energy intake and also the sodium retention. So keep those things out of your, certainly now I think there are low sugar, things where not artificial sweeteners, but things, fruit juices that have less sugar. You can always cut it with a little bit of water too. But the better choice is always an actual piece of fruit.
I know.
Orange juice, sugar, like sugar through the roof.
I know.
Just give them an orange.
Good, though. But I do like the days. I remember, I can still feel the way it feels in the summertime when your mom would make a big thing of Kool-Aid, and it was just water poured in and
some sugar and red dye,
a Kryllian thing of sugar, and then a packet of whatever, and stir it all up, put it over ice. Wow, terrible for you, but man, it sure did taste good as a kid. And maybe there were things back then that mitigated against it. We have so many things now that it feels like your body has opened up. We had more natural things. You say sugar's still bad. But we didn't. It was before the high fructose corn syrup days. Way back when it was cane sugar. It was quick dissolving. The whole thing was all at least natural. And maybe it made a difference. I don't know. But I still remember. Now I don't even know. Can you even buy just like a packet of Kool-Aid with the directions that say put 2 cups of sugar and whatever, a gallon of water?
That's a really good question.
I'd love to try, because now I know that it's like, dude, nobody does that. They just buy it in a pre-made. I don't want pre-made.
Yeah.
I want to know if I can recreate that. Get grape and get that grape Kool-Aid taste with the cherry Kool-Aid taste.
I don't know.
From a Go Times. Just I wouldn't even drink it all. You know that. I wouldn't. It's too sweet. I wouldn't drink it all. But I would maybe drink like 1 glass of it over a bunch of ice,
if
just
it's
to
there,
get that taste again. That would be fun.
Yeah, it's in that middle section of the grocery store that I try to
supposed
avoid. But I read this and my first instinct was to call all of my kids and ask them to check their blood pressure, because I feel like those things were just a staple
they were.
of their childhood. Yeah.
That is the Wilder Show podcast, which drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time or before, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, on the TikTok now and again. On Instagram at Wilder Show Pod. Email here is podcast@wildershow.com, or you can just engage us wherever you listen on your platform. Do it right there. Give us a thumbs up. Leave a question or a comment. Wherever you get your podcasts, would you like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share? And Lauren, thank you.
You bet.
And we'll see you next time.
Do 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 do